Hey there folks, this is GreenXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Higurashi. This is episode 77. In the last episode, as Akasaka, we made it into the main village of Hinamizawa. We met up with Rika and this guy who is no one important really. This guy who showed us around the place along with Rika. So, now they said that they were going to show us to the most beautiful place in terms of scenery in the village. So Rika has taken us to her home, or to the Furude Shrine. The van stopped in the shrine's parking lot. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loudspeakers mounted on top of them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side of each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Oyashiro-sama's anger," or a slogan of a similar kind. They gave the feeling that even without using the loudspeakers, there was enough to overwhelm any onlookers. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The contents of those banners were similar. They were all objections against the dam or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, placards, and so on and so forth. Hold on. There we go. They proclaimed that without a doubt, this was the headquarters of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home. "We've arrived. I'm home." Rika-chan crawled over my lap and exited the vehicle first. Makino noticed that I was looking at protest banners. The shrine also has the offices of the anti-dam movement. For you, this probably brings back memories of the anti-security treaty conflicts back in the day. Student movements against government policies, movements that bordered on terrorist activity, were at one time commonplace, if only in order to garner global attention. Students holding out in lecture halls, brawling with the riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a road to glory. It was slightly before my time. I'm not really an activist or anything. I studied without incident and graduated without incident. I don't really agree with the violence or occupations they used to protest for the government's policies. Oh? You have quite the nice opinion there. If you have an opinion on a policy, vote for the candidate who shares your view, or enter the political world yourself and assert your beliefs in a lawful manner. That's the foundation of democracy. I don't think that's something you could challenge with violence. For a young'un, you have some fine beliefs. I saw that feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. At that moment, something tugged at my sleeve. Who could it be? I have no idea what Akasaka is saying. Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. That expression was so charming, I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that a father wants to spoil his daughter rotten. I think I understood that feeling very well. Sorry. It was a little bit hard for Rika-chan to understand, wasn't it? Japan's a peaceful country, so you have to argue your point in a peaceful manner. You shouldn't resort to violence, in other words. No matter how much I explained, a girl who was just boasting about being able to carry digits over when adding things probably wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway. No? So then, Akasaka. Ooh, her eyes changed. How do you think we should keep our village from being flooded by the dam? Even if I regretted my careless words, it was too late now. Here I was, at the main headquarters of an organization, telling them their ways of doing things was illegal. Preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself in with the respect in Makino's gaze. It was then I finally realized. It wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would argue that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one's way was something that everybody knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that couldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. They haven't got time for one thing. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project, through the efforts of the various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or change the construction plans. But that was at the most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with the construction as planned, it wouldn't be long before the place was at the bottom of a lake. If it wasn't for the unrestrained resistance of the residents of Hinamizawa, this place might already have been underwater. We can't live anywhere else other than here. We can't live in the city. The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying with them the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. course, there was nothing I could say to respond to that. I could only respond to Makino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence. I'm sorry. This isn't a problem that an outsider should lightly just poke their nose into, is it? I apologize. Makino, unsure of how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly. It's nothing that concerns guests that make their home somewhere else. If you enjoy it here, please tell all your friends that Hinamizawa is a wonderful place. Please. If word spreads to dozens, maybe even hundreds of people, then that ridiculous plan to submerge this place at the foot of a dam will eventually fall apart. He followed that with a smile that said, "Please don't think much of it." Makino let me not worry that much really was a stroke of good fortune. Becoming infatuated with the idea of making friends with a little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension of being in enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step foot into their headquarters might have been a good thing. If we'd had this exchange in the middle of their office, if there was a short-tempered youth in there, they might have come at me. Thinking of how extreme they were, in the worst case, my life could have been in danger. It seemed that I looked quite despondent at that moment. Makino, thinking he had said something wrong, became flustered trying to think of a way to improve my mood. I was a bit careless just now. I'm very sorry. No. Don't worry that much about it. The sights you showed me around the village were all beautiful, wonderful places. I really do want to come here one more time. If this beautiful village is going to be submerged at the bottom of a lake, I can understand why you would fight so desperately. I had somehow managed to use my despondent look to change the topic in my favour. After a bit, Makino had returned to his usual high spirits. It seemed he believed I was completely sympathised with his point of view. Now, let's leave the talk at that for now. There's a place around here with a really great view. Exactly, that's what we came to see. Let's go, Akasaka. Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free from all the boring and gloomy adult talk, bounded up the stone steps. I hope it shows a new photo with a really nice view on it. That's what I'm looking forward to. There was no real need to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. There were several tents belonging to the town council erected on the shrine grounds. Inside the tents were several folding tables and chairs. The number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything incendiary, like, the dam project must be destroyed. It was just some relaxed idle chit-chat between local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of a shed that looked like a meeting place, there was a large sign erected with Onagafuchi Defense Alliance Headquarters, written in bold brushstrokes. That was their base of operations. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown. If you asked what I had been imagining, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'd have thought it would be something much more dramatic. With barbed wire fences and barricades. My first impression of the place, though, was completely different from that. It looked like a simple, backwater town hall. It didn't look like anything other than that, exactly. The old folks who were chatting had noticed Rika-chan's presence. Well, isn't it, Rika-chama? It's time for little kids to head on home. That is her home. Yeah, this is my home. The old fox... Oh god, that's close. The old fox guffawed, since she wasn't wrong. From that exchange, I could tell that this Rika Furude girl was loved by everybody. Makino-san? Who's that? The tourist who phoned? That's right. This is the mayor of Hinamizawa, Mayor Kimiyoshi. He smiled brightly, but there was no mistaking he would be scary if he got angry. By the looks of things, this old man was the president of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, none other than Kichiro Kimiyoshi himself. See, we're not seeing a picture of him either, or the grandma from the Sonozaki family. We're not getting to see a lot of the characters' portraits. Welcome to Hinamizawa. By the way, this music reminds me a lot of the music in Ice Cavern in Pharmacy 9. I think it's just the xylophone or whatever it is. Welcome to Hinamizawa. What do you think? It's a quiet and relaxing place, isn't it? Yeah. I was able to appreciate a multitude of beautiful places throughout the whole day. I'm thankful for being granted this rare opportunity. Even though you're one of those young'uns, you're quite the gentleman. Kichiro. I want to show Akasaka a cool place. Thinking that the formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long, Rika-chan butted into the conversation. For her to call the mayor by his first name, I felt it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. A girl of the Furude household, one of the 3 families. She was probably different than the average villager. Akasaka, over here. Rika-chan tugged at my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over. And waiting for me was a magnificent view. Oh, here it comes! It's the one from the opening of the game, before you press new game and stuff. That's quite nice. This is amazing. It was an observation deck that looked down on the village. They, knowing that this was the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there awestruck. I was holding a camera, but had completely forgotten to even glance through the viewfinder. This view, no matter what kind of film it was printed on, it wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would only be what I would be able to put into words. It was just such a breathtaking, spectacular view that I struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there in wonder. A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke. This is my favourite spot. As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. Yeah, it's nice to be able to live right by your favourite spot. It looks so nice. That smile seemed very fleeting. If you ask why, that was because the view from her favourite spot would eventually be submerged under the deep green waters of the dam reservoir. Green? That can't be healthy, can it? I just can't believe that this village is going to end up at the bottom of a lake. I said it quietly so that only Rika-chan could hear it. I regretted it as soon as I did, for those words were all too cruel. However, Rika-chan didn't let them cast a cloud on her expression. In fact, she replied with a smile. It won't sink. The dam project will definitely go away. It's just like a little girl to say something like that. There's no basis for her saying so. It was just her wish. Akasaka, do you think that this village will be submerged? It's not that I want it to be. I knew how important the dam was. I knew that it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the project in general, but couldn't agree with some of the details. But if it meant that this girl's beloved scenery wouldn't be taken away from her, I might be able to object to the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nation, the development of Japan, all for the sake of one girl's smile. Not really much for a humanist, but how sentimental of me. It won't be submerged, because the dam project will soon go away. The words weren't just hopes and dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve, as if she was talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the east, it'll be gone soon. Wanting to ask her why she believed that, I turned around. Yes, it'll be gone. What makes you say that? Well, you see... She seemed to want to answer, but as though unable to find the right words, she swallowed back what she was about to say. Regardless of what Akasaka does, the dam project will end this year. It's already been decided. That was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance would have no reason to continue existing. From my point of view, it was like they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew the dam project was cancelled, it would feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. Nope. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint, or at the bus stop. The villagers with their misplaced resolve were still fighting, and this girl, even knowing the villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their victory. The villagers thrown themselves into this endless war, and this optimistic girl who said they had already won. That contrast was somehow strange. Why do you think that? If you know something that makes you that confident, could you tell me? Rika-chan stayed silent for a while, seemingly choosing what to say. Because. Because? She looked like she was lost on whether she should continue or not. As if she was troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it, that kind of expression. It's already been decided. There's no other way to say it. It's already been decided, huh? It already is. It really is. Just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was the only one saying such things with such confidence. My real mission, that I had forgotten about during this fun-filled day, resurfaced at the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Had the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance kidnapped the minister's grandson and already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimiyoshi actually already know that and was just plain dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me? Akasaka. The girl called out my name suddenly. What is it? Go back to Tokyo. She has a subtle, scary face to her, don't she? Like, Mion's and Rena's are both really terrifying. They got a cat's eyes, they got the evilness to it. But this one, it's just like she's not smiling, and she always smiles. You know? Go back to Tokyo. Huh? I wasn't only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I had never once mentioned I was from Tokyo. Well, based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It was probably the sudden and complete change in her demeanour. You should definitely go back to Tokyo right away. If not, you will woefully regret it. The girl had been holding my sleeve the entire time. She'd been tugging at my sleeve since hurriedly dragging me over to show me this wonderful view. But this was the adorable Rika-chan who I'd spent the entire day with. There was no way she could have been replaced with a doppelganger when I wasn't looking. She'd been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, but somehow this girl was someone other than Rika-chan. She looked like Rika-chan, but she wasn't. She was some girl I had never met before. That girl had told me in an indifferent voice that I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my heart. That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. So I thought I'd warn you right now. Why would I come to regret it? Stop whining. I couldn't believe that I was hearing such cold words come from Rika-chan's mouth. I just couldn't believe it. Was somebody impersonating her, using ventriloquism or something? Thinking that, I wanted to take a look around, but the girl's gaze had pinned me down, making me unable to move. I need to drink. My mouth is going dry. There we go. When you tried crossing the road, when the don't walk sign was up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk? They'd pull you back right away, wouldn't they? They'd pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they? In other words, it's something like that. The girl I had spent time with, Rika Furude, would not speak like that. She would speak with a cuteness befitting her age, with brief childish remarks, meeping away, expressing her emotions honestly. She definitely wouldn't speak with such pointed words. I've warned you. Don't get the wrong idea. It's not like I'm saying this because I hate you. You don't need to tell somebody who's better off dead that they're in danger. Who are you? You're not Rika-chan. Oh god, that's a weird smile. As soon as I accused her of not being Rika-chan, she let out a strange, quiet giggle. It was a laugh not befitting a child of her age. It was like she was possessed by something. Her change was just that total and complete. It is a subtle change to her though, innit, in terms of how she looks, but it's just as bad as the others to me, as the other characters. Was Rika-chan being attacked by some terrifying phenomenon? That occult idea came to mind without any sort of hesitation. Rika-chan is acting strange. Somebody, help. Thinking that I'd yell that, I turned to where the mayor was. I immediately realised he was looking at us with a smile. That's right. To him, it looked like nothing more than me and Rika-chan fooling round. He didn't notice that there was something terrifying happening to her. Akasaka is such a coward. Oh, the girl had obviously grasped that I was afraid. Noticing that, and calling me a coward, she laughed again. That cackling girl, approaching me in a strange manner while still laughing, lost her balance and fell flat on her face. Oh shit, not scary anymore. Rika-chan fell down. If it was just a while before, I would have extended a hand to help her up without hesitation. But now, extending a hand to this ominous girl who looked like Rika-chan but wasn't, required a bit more courage than I had at the moment. Meep! The girl cried out thus. She then squirmed upright and dusted herself off. Afterwards, she looked around restlessly as a blank expression crept across her face. You gotta be kidding me. Was she making fun of me? That way of acting. It was as though, after being possessed by something, she had lost her memories of what happened. You're joking, right? Rika-chan? Meep. I don't know if Rika-chan had heard me or not. She just cried out like that, as if questioning herself. Hey, mister! Rika-chan too. Tea's ready. There's some snacks too, so please come and have some. An old lady wearing a smock was waving energetically from the entrance to the office. Hearing that there were snacks, Rika-chan's expression changed. Yeah! Yay! A carefree smile. That was a familiar smile, the one that belonged to the embodiment of my ideal daughter. Any hint of the creepy girl that was just there, spouting sinister words, had vanished. Excuse me. Come on, Rika-chama. Wash your hands first. There aren't any manju here for dirty hands. Manju? Are they like those outdoor sinks that you wash your hands with? Is that what they are? I'll wash them real good. Meep. Rika-chan responded with vigour, running off to the washing station that was along the side of the office. No. So, washing stations, they're outside, aren't they? So, what's a manju? I don't know. She stopped halfway, turning around to call me. If Akasaka doesn't hurry up, I'll eat this share of manju too. They're steaming fresh. As a food. Hurrah. People who don't wash their hands aren't allowed to eat any manju. No matter how you looked at it, that was Rika-chan. Those words and the way she said them, no matter how you heard them, they were definitely Rika-chan's. Come on now, mister. You're the adult here, so show her how it's done. The old lady urged me to wash my hands. Without any resistance, I lined up beside Rika-chan at the wash station. Splish splash. Boom! I stared at Rika-chan, intent on washing her hands properly, like she had probably learned at school. Meep? Did I do something wrong? Huh? By wrong, you mean how I'm washing my hands? I only got 4 gold stickers for it. I'm probably bad at washing my hands. How can you be bad at washing your hands? You're not doing anything wrong. If you're washing them that carefully, that's more than enough. But it's not, Akasaka. If you don't use a brush and clean out the dirt underneath your fingernails, you won't get a gold sticker. Rika-chan, you're very diligent. That's something to be proud of. Nipa, I was praised by Akasaka. No matter how you looked at it, it was Rika-chan. There was no trace of that girl from before. Exactly what was that sinister girl? Rika-chan, what was the meaning of what just happened now? Just now you told me to go back to Tokyo, didn't you? Did I say that? I was at a loss for words. She didn't remember what that girl just now had said. Like I would ever believe something as occult as that could happen. Like I would ever believe that Rika-chan could be possessed by that strange girl and say those creepy things. Rika-chan, you definitely said that. Meep. Her expression told me that. Despite my saying so, she had no idea. She wasn't plain dumb. She actually didn't know. Exactly what was that just now? Just as Rika-chan had, I let a look of confusion creep across my face. The two of us both looking like we had no idea what was going on must have certainly been a humorous sight to behold. While partaking of tea and snacks, I was shown a propaganda film shot by the Defense Alliance that highlighted their resistance efforts. All the folks talked passionately on how long and grueling the fight against the dam was, but they fell on deaf ears. I was transfixed by Rika-chan, who had heard these stories countless times before and was nodding off. Not again. Eventually, Rika-chan noticed I was staring at her and smiled as she rubbed her eyes. That smile was Rika-chan's after all. There were no hint of that sinister shadow. After that, my unreasonable fear of Rika-chan lessened with the passing of time, but I could by no means forget what had happened. It eventually grew dark. The mayor said that they had prepared dinner, but I said I would come again tomorrow, and took my leave. I had to return to the hotel and file my regular report with the section chief. At least he's not sleeping in Hinamizawa then, by the sounds of it. At least he's getting a break from the atmosphere and everything that's going on. I see. Well then, please come again tomorrow. If you phone, we'll send somebody to pick you up right away. I appreciate your hospitality. I'll probably come again and enjoy myself tomorrow. Yes, please do. It seems that Rika-chan has taken a pretty big liking to you. Akasaka, you coming again tomorrow? Is he, or is he going back to Tokyo? I finish after 5th period, so if you could come at around 3 o'clock, that would make me happy. Please come again. That pure smile urged me to do so. So she really doesn't remember, does she? Or she would be saying, don't come again, or, something like that. There was no trace of that evil aura. Depending on what happened next, all that might end up as nothing other than my hallucination. Thinking about it logically, if the daughter of the Furude household, one of the 3 families, had taken a liking to me, then this was a strong foothold for my investigation from here on out. It was like a free ticket for a reason to visit Hinamizawa, or she just might want to be keeping close to you, Akasaka, because she knows something's up. Nah, can't be that. If only I could treat that little incident as a figment of my imagination, then having this girl, who was the embodiment of my ideal daughter, grow so attached to me wasn't bad either. I'd successfully dove into the belly of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, and had the mayor as well as other important members of the alliance welcome me with open arms. This was a great turn of events. However, I still felt uneasy. Getting back to the hotel, I forced down an almost painfully cold beer until I could clear my mind. The shock from that incomprehensibly strange incident continued to torment me. Oh, that's the end of chapter 2. That was nice, actually. It had a bit more tension. A lot of it was stuff that you read in the manga and anime, and it didn't give much more depth, I didn't feel. Oh, a couple of tips. 3 tips this time. Okay. What's my achievement? The terrifying shrine girl. What are those, what were they called? Mango? I can't remember. The things that were at the Defense Alliance's headquarters. I can't remember what they were called exactly. Anyway, let's check out the new tips. Oh my... Ooh, okay. Anyway, we'll get to that. Going smoothly. What we got? The sound of the car grew closer, followed by the sound of it braking as the engine cut out. At that moment, his up until now lackadaisical footsteps grew decisive as the man in the room dashed up to the wall beside the window and carefully peered outside. It was his comrade's car. Even so, he still didn't relax his guard. Eventually, the sound of footsteps approached the door. Thump. Thump, thump, thump. It was the passcode. I'm back. Open the door already. Ah, you must be tired. I'm opening it now. After the locks were undone and the door opened, a man appeared, his arms laden with swollen plastic grocery bags. The bags in his hands had Sevens Mart written on them, with bread and milk cartons able to be glimpsed within. Oh my god, keep burping. The contents of those bags were then spread out over a sheet on the floor. I bought some cup noodles so to go boil some water. Oh, this is for the kidnapped kid, is it? Oh yeah, there we go. What's the kid doing? He's been sleeping the entire time. Thank God he's not causing any trouble. He did struggle a bit when he was about to shit himself. Well, I expect he did. Don't let him crap his pants. You'd suck if it starts smelling like that, like an outhouse in you. Yeah, I know. Check that gag every now and then. We don't want it to get loose, so keep it tight. But not so tight that he stops breathing. I said I know. Huh? Didn't I ask you to pick up another can of gas for the portable stove? We're out. You never asked, you idiot. Gah, seriously? Come on, work. Damn it. He rattled the portable stove as he struggled to get it to light. Seeing that, the man who went to buy supplies let out a deep sigh. And with a backwards glance at that sight, began to walk to the corner of the room. The kidnapped boy was sprawled out on a sheet that was spread out on the floor. Boy, you doing okay? Of course, the man didn't assume the kid was able to hear that question. That was because the boy's ears were plugged, with his eyes and ears thoroughly covered by packing tape. Also, his mouth was gagged with a thin, twisted-up towel. Because of that, the boy is unable to close his mouth properly, his cheeks sticky with his own saliva. Of course, that wasn't the only reason. Both his arms were tied tightly behind his back with a leather belt. You seem to be doing okay. At least, you're not going to die. If your grandpa wanted to play tough, might have had to lop off an ear. It'd be great if we don't have to. If the main family says we do, though, tough luck. I can't even imagine what kind of cruel things they'd have us do. The family says not one scratch on him, though, so it seems to be going well for the time being. The minister is discreetly withdrawing the dam project. Oh, really? The Hinamizawa dam is indefinitely postponed, so Rika was right. But then what's the point of the rest of the arc, then? I wonder when we're letting the boy go. I just want to be done with this already. The main family seem to be gouging the timing. I don't know when it'll be, but probably soon. Isn't that great, kid? You'll be let go real soon. The men didn't know if their voices were heard by the boy. For him, there was nothing he could do but continue to sleep to escape this harsh reality. More importantly, what are we going to do about the gas? We can eat the cup noodles raw. If we're out of gas, say something, jeez. That was nice, actually, getting to see the kidnapping and how it's all still going along. The boy's still alive. You know, even when we're at Akasaka, the boy's still fine. Next up, why I like rainy days. Let me have a drink before we get started. Okay. The weather forecaster predicted that it wouldn't rain at all this entire week. It's not that I hate sunny days or anything. When every day is the same, unchanging, sunny weather, however, anybody would long for a rain cloud or two. If it's simply clear skies for a week, a month, a year, anybody would long for a rain cloud or two. Actually, I love it when it's pure sun from morning to night for like a week. That's heaven to me. Not we have it very often here, but... The weather specialist said that they had carefully scrutinised a large quantity of past data, so it wouldn't be so likely for the forecast to be wrong. I knew as much. But even then, there was occasionally a day where I was hoping that it would be wrong, as I stayed up into the clear blue sky. Was I being mischievous in hoping so? I waited and waited, feeling almost suffocated by the boring blue sky, undisturbed by a single cloud. What's this weather got to do with anything? If you could die from that suffocating feeling, then the population of Earth probably wouldn't have increased to this point. In other words, the only person who was being suffocated by this was me. And so, I welcomed the summer evenings when not even the weather forecast could predict a sudden shower. If I were to explain it like this, would you understand a bit more about how I feel? Let's say that tonight's dinner was going to be curry rice. But when you called down to the dinner table, what was waiting for you was instead an eggplant and bell pepper stir fry. This is just on your mother's whim, by the way. I would be delighted by such whimsy. I don't really like eggplants or bell peppers, but still, I would be delighted. The fact that the pre-established routine of curry rice had been broken would be amusing. If tonight was repeated 100 times, and 100 times you had to eat curry rice. Yet, for this one night, that was changed to an eggplant and bell pepper stir fry. There's no way you couldn't enjoy that chance happening. I hate pre-established routines. I really hate when things are all decided beforehand. I have no love for boredom. See, I like things to be predetermined. A surprise now and again, only if it's something I really like, is fine, but I prefer to have a bit of routine. When it comes to food, anyway. I always get my hopes up that something today will be different from yesterday, no matter how trivial. It's been decided that this entire week starting today was going to be clear skies. The weather forecast decided upon it, so the god of weather must also feel obliged to do so. But who's to say that a rain cloud might not just show up one day on a whim? It's something that nobody can say for sure, but because that thought remains in this world, a creature such as myself can continue living without being suffocated. Tomorrow will probably be a hot and clear day. However, I'm the only one that knows that predetermined fate, even with but a slim 1% chance, sometimes changes. Hoping for that 1%, I hung up upside down weather charms on my sunlit eaves troughs? Never heard that before. In the end, I spent my days waiting for those unexpected things in life to happen. I pondered why I was hoping for it. Why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. I've had my fill of clear skies. Then why was I hoping for a rain cloud? The answer was simple. The fact that it was going to be sunny tomorrow was boring. So why was I hoping for a rain cloud? In the end, it doesn't really matter whether it rains or shines tomorrow. Basically, it was just that the rain would water my heart, which was withered from boredom. That's why rather than a TV drama where the plot's already been decided, I prefer to look up at the sky. I think I know what that's all about actually, that one. It's more to do with the answer arcs, at least the answer arcs how they do it in the manga and anime, and probably going to be in this game as well. All the boredom and everything. I'm not going to say who it is, what's going on, because it will spoil things, I think. So, let's go on to the next thing. It's nice how it gives you a taster of what's to come though in that though. It's a bit confusing while we read it now, if we haven't experienced the game or the series in any way before, but it's really nice how it's done it, I think. Barley tea and black tea and a millstone. What? How's it going to be Mion and Irie? Your blood pressure has improved. For you to recover this quickly at your age, I'm rather impressed. At this rate, you'll still be kicking after a couple hundred more years, or you, Zan? The young doctor in his medical coat said that as he undid the blood pressure cuff from the arm of the old woman tucked away in her futon. You're a very good physician, Dr. Irie. If a persistent old fart like me doesn't hurry up and die, I'll just be in the way of you young folk. Oh, I don't like it when old people say stuff like that. The old lady, Oyo, laughed faintly with a broad smile on her face. Then turning towards the sliding door, she called out in a strong voice, "Is Shimiko-san or Taiko-san there?" Bring some tea for Dr. Urie. The sound of rushed footsteps from the hallway drew closer, till finally the door slid smoothly open. What it revealed was a young girl. It looked like the old lady's granddaughter. It's Mion! Oh, that was her gran. Yeah, okay. It's the Sonsaki family, the old woman. Shumiko-san already left for the day, but I'm surprised to see them. That's all. Do you need something? Mion, make some barley tea for Dr. Urie. Okay, got it. Did you want some too, Granny? Or would black tea be better? Want lots of milk and sugar? I'll measure it out myself so you don't have to put any in. Just bring the sugar jar and some milk when you bring the tea. Okay. The girl named Mion, after giving a rather uninterested response to her taskmaster of her grandmother, returned to the hallway. Pour the doctor's tea in the cups for the guests. And make sure you bring a coaster too. Also, make sure to dry the outside of the glass, okay? Yeah, you're such a fussy pants. A tired voice wafted a reply from down the hallway. The apathetic tone of voice was far from unusual. The old lady let out a wry smile slip across her face as she chided the girl. Geez, that girl just won't learn. Nothing I ever scold her about sticks. Now, Oryu-san, you don't have to say that. Mion-chan is doing her best in her own way, even though she's so young. Her mother was the same way, couldn't teach her anything. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. No. Yeah. So her mother's mother must be exactly the same, no? The old lady burst out laughing. Her expression showed her she hadn't taken the comment the wrong way. Dr. Urie, I'm sorry, but could you open the doors for me? Seems there's a nice cool breeze outside. The cool chirping of the Higurashi had at some point started leaking through the gap in the doorway. I would love to live somewhere with Higurashi and cicadas and stuff. Urie stood up and opened the door a bit. A refreshing breeze pushed out the stale air that had built up in the room. It's gotten fairly hot during the day, but the evenings are still rather cool, aren't they? It was almost downright chilly last night. Yeah, those types of mornings and evenings are another one of Hinamizawa's fine points. Urie replied with a smile as he returned to sit on the cushion beside the old lady. And then the two of them, for a little while, soaked in the voices of the Higurashi. I'm going to try and live to 100, until the business with Dam is proper finished. I ain't kicking the bucket just yet. Oh. To get the government to withdraw a decision they've already made is a fairly difficult thing to do. The way this country does things is like turning a millstone. A millstone. What's that? I don't know. A heavy one at that. I have heard of a millstone before, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. A millstone? Don't you know? A millstone. Urie quickly affirmed that of course he knew what the old lady was talking about. For he knew full well that Oyo didn't like having his stories interrupted. This millstone, see, can grind anything to a pulp. Okay, some sort of crafty thing, is it? It's rather impressive. But you see, it doesn't turn that easy, because it's a rather heavy millstone. Lots of people have to work in unison to get it to even budge. It's that type of millstone. Urie pursed his lips, listening quietly to what she was saying. Eventually, Mion returned with some tea laid out on a tray. Seeing that Oyo was talking and in a good mood, she quietly knelt down and laid out the sets for the barley and black tea, careful not to interrupt. I can't say Oyu without doing it in two syllables. Oyu. Oyo. I don't know if it's meant to be like that or not. That's why, when it gets going, it's not that easy to stop. It takes the most effort to move it right before it starts turning. Everybody hates that, so everybody keeps pushing it along without rest. You're talking about friction, right? I get what you're saying. So in other words, if there's some sort of mistake and the millstone suddenly stops turning, to get it turning again takes a great deal of power. More or less. Certainly, to get a project that's been suspended going again takes quite a lot of work. And this is what she's getting at. A millstone's a lot of work if you stop. Same as the dam project and trying to stop the dam. They need to keep going and going and going and getting to the government and everyone else, I guess. It's a millstone that isn't easily stopped. But once it's stopped, it'll never turn again. It's that kind of millstone. It'd be nice if there was some way to get that millstone to stop, wouldn't it? When Urie responded with that, Mion and the old lady suddenly sunk into silence. Oh no, she's talking about the millstone as if it is the government and all that. And if they stop them, it'll be hard for them to start back up again and get another dam project on the go, you know. Urie, instinctively thinking he had said something rude, searched in a small panic for the words to correct himself. But that silence wasn't the result of rude words. For what crept across the Mion, and the old lady's faces were contemptuous smiles. The atmosphere surrounding Irie suddenly froze, leaving him flabbergasted. Thinking that the scornful smiles creeping across both of their faces was the result of some mistake of his, he could only grow afraid. It hadn't been that long at all since he was enveloped by silence. However, unable to stand it, Irie could only let out a weak laugh. Irie's laugh eventually spread to Mion and the old lady. Not knowing exactly what they were laughing at, their laughter left a lingering chill. The only ones not laughing were the Higurashi, who continued their simple and unchanging chorus. That was a nice way of looking at it, actually. I liked that part. I liked all of this altogether, actually. Yeah. So anyway, this has been GreenyXI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when we check out the next day. We'll see that Akasaka obviously isn't going to go back to Tokyo. There's plenty more to come yet, I expect. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, folks. I'll see you again in a bit.